All right, welcome back. Today we're doing a deep dive into the absolute limits of existence. We're going to use these ancient cosmological maps to take a journey from states of, well, unimaginable pain to realms of some truly sublime, almost divine pleasure. So think about this for a second. What really are the ultimate extremes of pain and pleasure? It's a question that gets to the very core of what it means to be alive. And the sources we're looking at today, I don't just guess. They paint these incredibly vivid, detailed pictures of these two polar opposite states of being. Okay, so to even begin to understand these extremes, we have to start with the environment itself. Because in these cosmic maps, where you are fundamentally shapes what you are. Your reality is built from the ground up. So let's start at the absolute bottom. Here we find the hell realms, the Narakas. And listen, they aren't just hot. The text described them as a reality literally constructed from pain. The ground you walk on is scorching iron. The walls are pure fire. The text actually say they're burning, extremely burning, and thoroughly burning. This isn't just a punishment, it's a completely immersive environment of pure agony. Now let's do a complete 180 and flip to the total opposite. In the heavenly realms, the environment is all about effortless bliss. You've got palaces built from things like gold and lapis lazuli. The ground itself is said to be as soft as the palm of your hand. It gently sinks when you step on it and then rises right back up. And it's always covered in this carpet of fragrant, perpetually fresh flowers. And this is what's so wild. The contrast goes way beyond just the main living spaces. In Hell, or Na Loriga, the so-called parks are just horrific. You're talking fields of hot ash, swamps filled with rotting corpses, and forests where the leaves are sharp blades. But in Heaven, or Tianchu, the gardens have these wish-fulfilling trees that literally give you anything you could want. Food, clothes, even music. It just shows how your entire reality is shaped right from the very ground up. And don't think for a second that this suffering is just random chaos. This quote here is describing one specific place, the Black Rope Hell. Beings there are marked with black lines, kind of like how a carpenter marks a piece of wood, and then they're systematically cut apart. This really highlights a key idea. The torment is methodical, it's inescapable, and it's a direct consequence of past actions. It's a universe run by cause and effect, even in its most terrifying corners. Okay, now let's build on that foundation. Beyond just the physical world you're in, the way you experience desire itself, the simple act of wanting something, that reveals an even deeper divide. This is where we truly see the spectrum, moving from a state of total lack to one of total fulfillment. So if you want to talk about tormented desire, let's talk about the realm of the hungry ghosts, or Gui Chu. Beings here are in a constant, agonizing state of hunger and thirst. But the real horror isn't just that there's no food or water around. No, the horror is that even when it's right there in front of them, they're fundamentally unable to actually consume it. And this is where the cruel paradox of their whole existence becomes crystal clear. The source text actually describes 3 different kinds of obstacles. Some of them face external barriers. They see a river, but it's guarded, or the water turns to blood as they get close. Others face internal barriers. Their mouths are the size of a needle, but their bellies are huge and swollen. And maybe the most tragic of all are those with no obstacle. They can eat and drink, but every single thing they consume instantly turns to fire in their stomach. It's such a powerful metaphor for that state of insatiable craving, like an addiction where the very thing you want only brings you more and more pain. So, where do we fit into all of this? Well, the human realm is the middle ground. It's defined by what the texts call the suffering of want and pursuit. It's pretty simple, right? We get hungry, so we have to work to get food. We get cold, so we have to build shelter. Our entire existence is a constant cycle of striving and laboring to meet our needs. It's not the absolute torment of the hungry ghost, for sure, but it's also a million miles away from the effortless life of the gods. And then you get to the top of this hierarchy, the gods, or devas. For them, the gap between wanting something and having it is 0. It's gone. The source says that whatever they need just materializes in their hands, a direct result of their good karma. Think of a perfect meal, and boom, it appears. Think of beautiful music, and instruments just start playing. It's an entire existence of pure, instant gratification. So when you lay it all out, you see this incredible ladder, right? At the very bottom, desire itself is the source of torment. In the middle, for us, desire is the engine for a life of work and effort. And then at the top, desire is instantly and perfectly satisfied. This ladder of fulfillment is what really defines the quality of life in each of these realms. But here Here is where the story takes a really fascinating turn. You'd think a life of instant gratification would be the perfect end goal, right? Game over, you won. Well, what if even that sublime bliss isn't the end of suffering? This brings us to a really counterintuitive truth about these heavenly realms. So, is this heavenly life the perfect happily ever after ending? The simple answer, according to these texts, is a hard no. As incredible as the pleasures of heaven are, they contain this hidden seed of suffering, one that's maybe more psychological and existential than any of the raw physical pain we saw in the lower realms. This quote just gets right to the heart of it. The main form of suffering for the gods isn't hunger or physical pain, it's the anguish of knowing that their perfect life is temporary. The good karma that's been fueling their blissful existence, it eventually runs out, and the thought of that end is a source of immense anxiety. And get this, as a god's long life starts to near its end, 5 signs of decay are said to appear. For the first time, their perfect, radiant bodies start to show flaws. Their celestial clothes get dirty. Their flower garlands wilt. They start to sweat. And maybe most importantly, they just stop feeling that effortless joy they once did. I mean, imagine being a creature who has known nothing but absolute perfection for eons. This decline is a source of profound mental terror. And the anxiety isn't just about dying, not by a long shot. Less powerful gods are intimidated by the gods with even greater karmic merit, and they have to fight these constant, violent wars with the Asuras, who are these jealous demigods that rival them in power. They fight over resources, over celestial nymphs, and while a god's body might regenerate from most wounds, being beheaded is final. So yeah, even in paradise, there's fear, there's jealousy, and there's brutal conflict. So after this whole cosmic tour, from the fiery hells to the jeweled palaces, what's the underlying principle that connects all of it? What is governing this entire spectrum of experience? And here it is. This is the absolute key to the whole thing. None of these realms, not the deepest hell, not the highest heaven, are eternal. They're not permanent punishments or rewards. They are all temporary states, the natural, inevitable results of your past actions, or karma. Just as great virtue leads to a blissful but finite life in heaven, harmful actions lead to a terrible but also finite life in hell. Everything changes. Nothing is a permanent destination. And this brings us to the final, really provocative question that this entire cosmic map seems to be asking. If even the most perfect pleasure is temporary, if it's tinged with the anxiety of its own ending, it suggests that true, unshakable peace might not be found at either extreme of the spectrum. Maybe it's somewhere else entirely, beyond the endless cycle of pleasure and pain altogether. And that is a question worth thinking about.